I'm a guy that's 25. Lego Star Wars is my life. I like Ryan Johnson. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here, back again with another video. This is going to be update number 58 of the Starkiller base mock build series. Before we get into the update, I just want to give a very special thanks to those of you who contributed via super chat or donations on the live streams. So shout out to Christiansen, Alex H, Xavier, Sorrent, Ethan Blissett, Mark Parisher, Brix Films, Cleverphrase, Lil Deep, On the Brick, Driftwood, and Jedi Bob. You guys are awesome. I cannot express just how helpful it is for you to contribute monetarily to the build. It really does help make this entire thing possible. If you guys are not tuning into the live streams, I certainly urge you to do so. It is not only a great way for you to see the mock early, but to also hang out with some boyos, talk Star Wars. What more could you want than that? This 2 weeks has been a very interesting one for the mock. Like, yes, I know this episode is super late. It's like late past the deadline when I wanted to have it done, and it is also late in the day. Like, this is going to be basically uploaded when a lot of you in the US are probably sleeping. But EU gang, shout out to y'all. This episode is for you. But yeah, so I mean, my goal with this update was to basically get all this Rockwork done. You can see, like, it's looking so fantastic right here behind me. I didn't finish off all the Rockwork for the mock. Like, I still have 2 relatively small sections left, but there are significant strides that have been made forward with the Rockwork, which makes me super happy because I am just sick of doing Rockwork. So without further ado, not going to hold you any longer, guys. Let's jump right into the build. Alright guys, welcome back to Starkiller. You can see that the bulk of the work for this update was done on this Rockwork up above this section right here. The first thing I had to do was basically build some bricks up and give a structure to lay underneath these 16 by 16 plates. Shout out to these 16 by 16 plates. Those things are so clutch, so useful when you're building big, just to give you a nice surface to work on. I remember back in the day when I was working on, like, you know, Crate, Vardos, those builds, I barely had any 16 by 16 plates, so I was basically just taking a bunch of like 6 by 4 plates, kind of like this one, and just connecting them together, layering them to make a bigger surface. And that was such a pain. I was using so many of those parts. It took so much long just to build up a surface. With this, boom, you already got a 16 by 16 base and you're good to go. So really happy about that. But yeah, I built up some bricks to basically sit underneath these, and now I have a nice solid platform to build this Rockwork. And the Rockwork's basically going to stretch from one end of the mock to the other. You can see I've gotten these 2 sections done right here. These were done on stream. And basically for the remainder of this update, my goal is going to be to finish up the Rockwork in that little kind of corner right there, and then finish up the Rockwork on top of this. That is my goal to get finished up for this update. I'm of course going to have the top sections of these 2 buildings right there and right there to finish up. And that's going to be something that'll probably happen on the next update. But for now, I really do want to just get this entire row of Rockwork done. I think for the top of this building, I want to do something a little bit different, only because you can see I have these lights right here and this huge wire assembly, which is obviously not something I can just build directly on top of, because pretty much up until this point, the plates are layered right here. So I can't just smash a plate on top of this and expect for these rocks to be level with these rocks. So I think I'm just gonna have this building come up a little bit more, basically to give some room for this stuff to sit in here. And then I'll put an actual top on it, and then we'll just kind of continue the rocks. They'll still be leveled off with the top of this, but they just will start a little bit higher than these start, if that makes sense. Before we get into finishing the Rockwork on the other sections, I did want to give you guys a closer look at some of the Rockwork techniques I'm using for this section right here. You can see it looks pretty good. This is pretty uniform with what I was doing right outside of the stage area. You know, the 2 mountains that bookend the main stage, if you remember back to that part of the mock. Geez, that was like almost a year ago. I tried to spice things up a little bit with this section right here, basically just having a bunch of bricks sideways on the bottom here to really bring this part of the mountains forward, just to make it look a little bit more dynamic. And I think it came out pretty well. This is actually looking really good to me. One thing I think I might change is I might add some more dark gray kind of sprinkled throughout here. The decision to make this mostly covered in snow was really just done for parts Reason for me, I just don't have a ton of dark gray slopes to dedicate to Rockwork right now, but I have a ton of white slopes. Like I bought a bunch of white slopes specifically for this MOC. So I was like, this is the perfect time to really use them. I didn't use nearly as many on the other side of the Rockwork, like near the stage. So I figured this would be a perfect opportunity to really just knock out a bunch of these white slopes because I probably won't be using very many of these anywhere else on the build. That being said, I love these little patches of dark gray, but I think there could be a few more, just smaller ones kind of sprinkled throughout to make it look a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more realistic. So that's probably something I'm going to, if I don't get to it this week, I'm definitely going to get to it next week to just finish off the entire look of the Rockwork right here. So for now, the goal is going to be, let's just finish off the Rockwork right there and right there. That's what we're going to be doing. Let's go ahead and do it. Rockwork, more rockwork, 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 rockwork. So much rockwork. Oh my god, this was so tedious. Getting all this rockwork built, it was quite a task. But as you can see, the rockwork is done for the section that I had planned, which are these right above these main buildings right here. I obviously still need to finish it off on the two edges. Fortunately, those aren't huge sections. Like, it'll be relatively simple to complete that, which makes me happy because, man, this rock work was really taking a toll on me, just stacking so many slopes for such a large area. Like, it's really hard for me to convey the size of this thing to you guys, but like this section right here is so huge. Building that many rocks across the whole thing was no easy feat, but we got it done. That makes me very happy because now we can finally finish off the two edges, and then this entire section of the build will be finished up. We can move on to just building up some snow, which I'm super excited about because it'll really, and it's not going to be too complicated. It'll just be fields of snow, but it's something that needs to be done, and it's something that will really expand the size of the build, like spatially. So that'll be a pretty exciting part of the build. But for now, I can rest happy knowing that the bulk of the rock work is out of my way. Basically, the last bit of rock work I have to do for this entire build are on that section and that section. So that makes me so happy. I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at that little time lapse that I put together. I don't usually do those. I know a lot of people have been asking me for me to do that a little bit more often, so I figured, why not throw you guys a bone? I mean, it wasn't super difficult for me to arrange that. And I know it's really cool for you guys to see these sections come together. So this is what everything is looking like. This section is looking so much more complete having the snow up top. The nice thing about it also is that it really helps kind of complement the colors. Like before, when there was just, the white base with the gray buildings, it didn't look nearly as visually appealing, I'd say. But having the white and then the gray building and then the white up top really just makes it look a little bit more visually interesting. It's kind of like a reverse ice cream sandwiches with like ice cream, cookie, ice cream, whatever. You guys get the point. It just looks more interesting this way, having the white up top, having the slopes up top to really make this look and feel like Starkiller base, where, it's not just, a base on ice, but it's instead a base built into the planet, a base built into the ice. So that's actually really cool. I love the way that came out. Also, there's a little rebel friend there for scale. But yeah, this is pretty much going to finish up the video. Just want to give you guys some nice views of this section. Let me actually pull back. Let me give you a holistic view of what this entire thing is looking like right now. This has been a pretty long part of the build, but I think once it gets done, it'll make a big difference for the rest of the build. And you guys will hopefully be able to understand why this section is taking so long. Just a quick comparison, like that's obviously the section that I was working on for the interior, and then just look at that compared to this. Obviously, this is not nearly as tall, it's about half as tall, but the length of this thing is just insane. So Now that we got that out of the way, let's move to the end of the video. And that's going to finish the video, guys. Thanks again for watching Starkiller Base. Let me know in the comment section, as always, what you're thinking of the MOC so far. This Rockwork, I think, is just looking super nice. This is probably the longest, like, just row of straight Rockwork that I've ever done. Like, even Crate, you know, was broken up. It was like Rockwork, the big door, and then more Rockwork to the side of it. This one is just a long row of Rockwork, so it's kind of nice to just glance at it and appreciate all the various, like, styles of building that I try to incorporate into it. That being said, I'm so glad that it is almost over with. I think by the next update, I am going to be done with Rockwork, and then I can move on to more important things in my life. But altogether, Starkiller is looking pretty good. We're basically about to finish out this entire section. Like, by the next episode, these buildings behind me are going to be pretty much finished. At some point, I am still going to have to elevate all of these. Like, these are not going to be sitting this low. I'm basically going to have to elevate these to be as tall as this section behind me. What that means is, you know, nothing on top of them are going to change. Like, everything you see here is perfectly done, but I'm just going to be adding bricks and basically supports to below these to basically make them sit higher. And that is to accommodate the trench that we're going to be working on relatively soon. Like, I'm hoping I can really just knock out a lot of these snow sections, because it's basically this right here, snow that comes out basically this way, like a bunch of snow hills and whatnot that are going to basically give some space between the interior of the build and the trench. It's going to be the trench / oscillator building, and then a forest, and then we're done, which sounds awesome to say because it feels so close. I still know that involves a lot of building on my behalf, but we are getting there. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys this week. If you like what I do, go ahead and support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.